face, front, true believers. Welcome to the Pitch Nerds, issue 99. We're the weekly show where two nerds assemble to bring you the latest nerdy news, reviews, and pitches. I'm Cap, and joining me today is always best friend, fellow nerd, and sexual tyrannosaurus, Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty, how are you doing on this fine morning?
It is a morning for sure. I'm dealing with a car problem, so
Yes.
that's a little frustrating, but hopefully it gets resolved soon.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're here to bring you the latest nerdy news. It's going to be a... Aha, we have a new follower. Mohan is now following. Yes.
Oh.
And surprise cameo by Mrs. Vet's succulent booty. Look at that delicious peach right there. Yes. Mohan is now following. I'm seeing a pattern here. Anyways, anything interesting this week? We had the finale of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, that's the big one, obviously. Yeah, it's the Mandalorian finale. We also had that teaser trailer drop for Godzilla X Kong, the new Empire.
Oh yeah, I did. I saw it, but I haven't watched it yet. But
well, I got. Some
I didn't realize they were making another one.
Yeah. I got some notes about that in nerdy news, so we'll go over that in just a bit.
We do have some early breaking news, before we get too far ahead. Well, I mean, I guess we can save it in nerdy news with the information or the news story that Mrs. Cat just dropped us. But
yeah, we got an insider, so
yes, insider news.
Breaking.
Anyways, we have He-Man versus Naruto today, and we're actually doing some pitches. God, it's been a while since we've done a pitch. We're doing our Pirates of Blackwater pitch. I've been sort of putting this one off for a while.
It's a harder one to do because unless you want to spend the money on buying, an entire season, which isn't super cheap,
right?
It's not a show that it's like easily accessible,
right?
And I don't think, and it's old, so it's hard to remember everything. So it's like I found, at least while writing this, I'm relying on like going through like Wikipedia things and stuff like that to learn about the show.
Yeah.
And then you can find the intro.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't really tell you anything.
Right.
I mean, it does.
Well, I mean, it does. It's intros back then used to tell the whole story.
Yeah, they're like, here's the plot.
But you know what? I kind of like that though, because it is the introduction to that universe. So it's like the exposition, but done with like a guitar riff. Like,
yeah,
it's awesome.
I thought I'd throw this out there too real fast. We're talking about new followers. We've also been we can add Let's Read Spider-Man podcast. They have a Spider-Man podcast. They decided to join our little nerdy fandom. And SPQR's Bizarre Adventures. I think it's about JoJo and stuff like that. He's one of those fans.
Okay.
And he's a friend of friends of the show and stuff like that. So welcome. I appreciate you joining us as well.
Yes.
We love it when our little group continues to grow.
Yes.
Also, I got into a long debate with Geek Hero Bubba about. I'm interested to know where you land on this, Cat.
All right.
So he's a follower of the show at Bubba_Geek Hero. So he's of the attitude that, and I'm going to use his direct words. This is something I totally disagree with.
All right.
But he's he believes that real fans should be those that protect the franchises against changes they don't like.
So like the people versus George Lucas type deal?
Yeah, I guess it started because I was talking to him. He thinks he compared me to that guy Mayberry from the Andy Griffin show.
Okay.
Says, he thinks that I'm just like, I'm happy with anything.
Okay.
And that's not the case. I have an entire podcast where I give my opinion.
Right.
But,
I mean, that checks out.
Yeah. But anyway, I guess what I'm saying is if I don't, and we've talked about it before, but if I don't like something, I just don't support it. I
Right.
give my opinion on our show
Right.
or on Twitter, and then I move on. I don't enjoy telling someone they're wrong for liking something. Like you
Right.
and I both didn't love Captain Marvel, but Beetleburr, fellow nerd Beetleburr,
Mm.
watches the show sometimes. She loves it,
Mm.
and she's not wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
People who like
it's
Star Wars sequels, like I didn't like the sequels, but my friend's daughters loved it so much that now they love Star Wars. And I guess my point, and he was like, "Well, you're not. Why aren't you hating these things?" And it's I don't want to put my energy there. There's
right.
enough Star Wars now that can go around. I don't have to like everything. I can like the Mandalorian
Right.
and Andor and things like that.
Right.
And that's my Star Wars now. I can forget the stuff that I don't really care for, I guess. That's my
So
opinion.
so
Where do you
so
land on this?
okay. So oh, this is a beefy cake to sink my teeth into. So
Okay, okay.
um I have come to view all franchises as sort of like legends in unto themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So think of it as the legends of Star Wars. So in the legends of Star Wars, this happened, but also in other legends of Star Wars, this happened. That's sort of the dial that I've tuned into. Um, Take for example, oh my
Well, you're
goodness.
talking canon, though, right?
Right, right. So I mean, I'm not just canon. I'm just talking about like in general, because a lot of what I've seen with this type of like protect the source is essentially protecting the canon. And when I kind of have a feeling how you're going to respond to this, and then it'd be great. But people deeply regard canon as this sacred thing, and I get it because you invest time into studying and studying. It's like somebody who studies for a math test. And then you go to show up for the math test, and all of a sudden, all that math is no longer the math that you know. It's a completely different type of math that you have to relearn, and plus is no longer addition; it's a subtraction, and blah 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 blah. Like everything is completely rewritten, but all the
Right.
symbols are the same. So, if which is why I think now how I've come to cope with that is the legends of we're getting a new Harry Potter series for HBO, which sounds fucking awesome. I want to see Harry Potter with HBO money. I think that'd be great because the movies were great, but there are still things that were omitted from the movies, and I think having it be a series will really flesh out the universe and it would enrich it.
I think books generally work better as TV
Well,
series.
of course, of course. So what's going to happen when this is going to come out? Oh, it's probably going to be woke. It's probably going to be this, and it's going to be gender, blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. So, regardless of what it is, people are going to like it, people are going to dislike it. But in my head, it's okay, here's some other adventures of Harry Potter. Because I've read the books. The books were great, they're fun
Mm-hmm.
reads. The movies are different from the source material. Not a lot of people, there were some little rabbles, but overall, people loved it. It's still a change to the thing. So the movie is its own legend, and upon the Harry Potter universe, the book is its own legend of Harry Potter. That's kind of how I see it. So
Mm.
I'm pretty sure in the HBO series they're going to touch on things that weren't really fleshed out or acknowledged in the books, and that'd be interesting to see. It's still the legends of Harry Potter, regardless of who depicts the character. So to now be we need to make sure it is exactly like this and exactly like this and do this and this and this, and it needs to be cemented in with no wiggle room, I guess. um I don't know. It
Well,
stems
do you
from
think fans should be these? I almost view it as a form of gatekeeping, but it's maybe not.
like the arbiters of the franchise.
Yeah,
So
and I hate that term "true fans"
yeah.
because okay, so I pointed out to him that if you're a fan of the Adam West Batman,
Mm-hmm.
and you're a fan of, and then you're just as much a fan of the Tim Burton Batman, just
Right.
as much a fan as the Snyder Batman,
Right.
just as much a fan as the comic book
Right.
Batman.
The Legends of Batman. What is your favorite Legend of Batman?
And I mean, and he was saying, well, they all have the same heart, but I don't know if that's true.
No, that's not
and
true at all.
And they definitely don't. He said but they're different tonally. But
right.
Here's the thing, like, so Frank Miller, he wrote Dark Knight
Return. Right.
I don't know if you know this. He believes he forever damaged the franchise.
Well, I wasn't a fan of Carrie Kelly ever.
But. Well, yeah, but that's not why. He believes he damaged the franchise because before he came along, Batman was portrayed as your jolly old uncle.
Right.
And then he wrote this dark, kind of gritty Batman, and people liked it. And so people started writing their own dark, gritty Batman. And he feels like that wasn't the point of his story. And because now that it spawned the
like Tim Burton and the
that
like
era,
darker gothic,
we see now as like the go-to Batman,
right?
You know, that he's forever like burned the franchise.
Right.
Now the thing is, I don't agree with him. I think if people like dark, gritty Batman and people enjoy writing dark, gritty Batman, they enjoy reading, then let them do it.
Right.
I mean, if there's an audience for lighter, more, you know, hey, let's go Batman, which clearly it was.
It exists. Brave and Bold. Yeah.
Then it'll find an audience. I mean, the thing is, like, on all of this stuff, I guess, in my opinion, it's the almighty dollar that controls it all.
Right.
And
Velma. Just Velma. Y'all did that to yourselves.
Yeah, we talked about it before. Yeah, Velma being the perfect example. I don't think occasionally fans do have some power to bring things into creation.
Sonic would be
Sonic, Snyderverse, and things like that. And great. I'm happy that worked out for you.
Right.
But you're also hurting, like, but by complaining about the stuff you don't like all the time, they're now banking on that, you know, and so I don't know. I just think that if you, again, the almighty dollar controls everything. The best thing to do, give your opinion, support it or don't support it, depending on where you land.
Right.
And then don't yuck people's yum. If someone loves it, then great. I don't think it's nice. And yeah, it comes down to nice. I don't think it's nice, nor is it enjoyable for me.
Right.
To be like, yeah, that thing you like sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me why it's good. Oh, you're a more. I hate that stuff.
Right.
I hate things like the quartering. I hate all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It just boils my blood. So, but I mean, hey, by the way, if you're listening or you're going to watch it in the future, I hope I represented your side of the argument. Okay. And I know I'm Cap can attest to this. I'm an annoying person to debate with because I've learned how to master the bounce the ball back into your court. So you throw something out and I just go return. Yes. And then you're like, damn it.
Like, so, you know, but in a way, no, let me figure out how to phrase this. It's, if you were to look at the totality of it, just detach yourself from all of it and just look at the plate, good and the bad.
Yeah,
it's good that people are getting passionate over things they love. When it comes,
I agree,
but however, right, semicolon, however.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
Just the legends of moving forward. Whoever is been, and I've been gatekeepery. I think every nerd at some point in their nerd history, in their path to nerddom, has been a gatekeeper at some point. I'll freely admit that it was mainly because of my ex that I was with, because she's just the ultimate gatekeeper, and she sort of splashed onto me. But it was like an example. I liked Family Guy. I don't like it so much anymore, but I used to like Family Guy, and the person I was with at the time, oh, what are you doing? Why are you watching that? Only idiots like Family Guy. Ugh, that's dumb. It's like, but I just want to watch Family Guy. Like, I think it's funny. Why are you telling me that it's not funny when I'm laughing at it? It's funny. I don't care if you think it's funny. You don't have to watch it. We have multiple TVs. You can go into the other room. I just feel like watching Family Guy in peace. after a long day at work. Ah, no, you can't do that. God, you're so stupid. Only stupid people like that. And it's just, I'm just trying to enjoy my thing. It does nothing to you. It doesn't affect you at all. And, it's... If you feel like you need to protect a source material, just know that every book is different from the movie. All of it. Dune, just all of it. I don't think there's ever been a movie that's come from a book that's been directly, like, verbatim from the book.
The medium change. Yeah,
right. that. And unless you count, what is it? Oh, what was that? Battlefield Earth or something? That L. Ron Hubbard one?
I watched it. I didn't know it was, like, direct from a book or something.
Yeah, but either way, so to help...
I forgot about that movie.
That'll be an awful behold nerds to. I don't know. I don't know if I want to give them money, but So if anybody is feeling like they need to white knight the source material, and that might not even be like the best term to use, but anybody who is safely guarded of something that is precious to them when it comes to like source material, Lord of the Rings, fucking Star Wars, any of it. Treat it moving forward as you have your medium, whether it be Star Trek, whatever. That is your plate. You can enjoy that. I can go right now and still buy the Star Wars books from the Legacy. They still exist. All the material is still there. And around the right people, it's still recognized. And those who aren't familiar with it, then that's where the legends come in. Hey, well, what's your legend of Luke Skywalker? What's your legend of this character, that character? So... I think if people treat it as that, where both of y'all like the same thing, you can like it for different reasons, but y'all are still liking the same thing. And that's all the studio sees, is y'all like the same thing. So, I don't know, just treat it as a different telling. It is a new legend. That's it.
And I mean, I guess where I've come in, and I kind of like you. Sorry, plug into my phone. Kind of like you, I think I used to do a bit of that too, and what's honestly a big part of what's changed my tune is this podcast, because I've come to realize that like we've met a lot of nerds from different like groups and people that are into different things, and they like different versions of things,
right?
And it's like we're all just fans of this stuff,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it may not be the same.
So like,
and then I think to other stuff like Wonder Woman is always the example I use. She used to be vastly different than the Wonder Woman we have now.
Right.
Now, someone could say, "Oh, well, that damaged the brand," or someone could say that improved the brand. But at the end of the day, like, people seem to like the badass Amazonian warrior Wonder Woman.
Throwing tanks outside the UN. Yeah, like I would rather have that than bondage Wonder Woman. That's not interesting. I want to see Wonder Woman throwing tanks outside the UN, damn it. Like, that's badass. That's cool. Somebody who can trade blows with Superman. Like, that's been awesome.
Some great one. But and the thing is, like, there's like been some bad Wonder Woman books and some bad Wonder Woman,
right? But that's anything. Like,
it doesn't all have to be amazing,
right? And just because one thing fails, now see, here's where y'all need to listen and tune into the pitch nerds, because whenever something is bad, you don't watch it and keep watching it and then go on the internet and tell everybody how bad it is. It's so bad, and then that's just all you're doing is getting people to watch it so they can talk about how bad it was. You're enjoying it. You're just enjoying it from like the other end of the spectrum, but you're still enjoying it. People admit to hate watching shit. Just I don't really have any. So I have a couple things that I don't necessarily hate watch, but sort of like guilty pleasure.
I have guilty pleasures. I was watching one yesterday, but I don't hate it. I don't know what it is about this movie. Well, and I don't think it's a good movie, but I watched The House Bunny yesterday, and every once in a while, if I see it on a streaming service, I'll pop it on. And I just find that movie just so delightful. Like, I don't know. Like, I guess I used to date this girl, and we used to quote it all the time to one another.
Mm.
And so, like, she would be like, "Hence this," and then I'd be like, "Yeah, hence." You know what I mean? So it's kind of a fun movie for me in that
Right.
regard.
So,
Um,
here's another thing you kind of want to factor in. So, time gives birth to nostalgia,
yeah,
and here's the thing. I can still remember how I felt when I exited the theater having watched episode 1 for the first time. It was a mixed bag of confusion and disappointed, but I was also in denial because no, this can't be Star Wars. Like, no,
yeah. I went through the denial stage of the prequels.
right.
Like,
So there's definite stages of oh my god. I watched.
yeah, and then people who didn't have that hardcore Star Wars, like, oh my god, it's got to be good. They would tell me it sucked, and then I would defend it, even though
It was yeah. So
I've stopped defending stuff though these days. I mean, some people would argue I do because I will chin on Twitter on topics,
mm,
but honestly, I'm just giving my opinion.
right,
I don't have any desire. I believe, like, if you hate something, your reasons are just as valid as the reasons I have for loving them.
right.
The thing I always come across, and I discuss a lot because it's kind of a divisive movie,
Mm,
and I think you feel the same way about it as
mm.
me. Watchmen the movie, hate it.
Oh,
I just can't stand that movie.
boring
People
movie.
love that movie. Watchmen the book, oh my god, it's the greatest book ever.
Right.
And the thing is, you can love Watchmen the movie. You can think it's the greatest movie. You can think Rorschach is the greatest character. I
I see what you did there.
I don't I am sorry, I don't. And I yeah, and I'll explain to you why I don't like it,
Right.
why I like the comic book.
Right.
Me and fellow nerd at Super Killers got into a discussion about it. And when I explained my point of view, he was totally unaware. He was like, I didn't even know that.
Right.
And like, then that's where I think good conversations are born.
Right.
Because he can love that movie. He has his reasons for loving it. I have my reasons. And he didn't even seem that interested in the stuff that what I liked about the comics. I mean, specifically, the examples I gave to him was I was admiring how they use the medium
Mm-hmm.
of comic books to further the story.
Right.
In the chapter, what's it called? Oh, I'm blanking. The one that's something symmetry. It's taken from the poem "The Tiger." But anyway, like, Rorschach's mask is in the shape of a tiger.
Yeah.
And then page 2 mirrors page 28,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes that way all the way until they come to the center of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Things like Fearful Symmetry. That's the name of that one. That's a unique way to have that comic book presented,
Right.
and it furthers the story. It's something that doesn't translate though,
Right.
in
Into
the
a movie.
motion medium. Yeah.
Right.
But I have to give Snyder credit, though. I mean,
He
it takes
tried.
balls to make that movie.
Right. It didn't move me at all. It was a movie I watched. I think I rewatched it again a few years ago just because I'd only seen it once up until that point, and okay, the end. So, but you're not a gatekeeper though, and that's the thing. Like, you can have these discussions with people. You can tell them, oh, this is why I like this. It's not attacking you for why you like that the things your way. It's just people can like things for different reasons. That's it, and people can dislike the same thing for different reasons. Just it is all it's all subjective. That's it.
But I mean, like we're all nerds. Let's just enjoy it and nerd out together, I guess.
Yes.
Anyway, we should probably move on to the news after that rant. But I hope you watch it, and I'm always happy to discuss things with you.
Yes.
So yeah, let's continue nerding out.
So this is breaking news right before we went live. That's why we were a couple minutes late. Breaking news, courtesy of Mrs. Cap. During last night's performance of Fantasmic at Disneyland, the Maleficent Dragon, after it was slain by Mickey, caught fire and burst into flames. Oh my goodness, Frosty, I know you didn't get a chance to pull it up yet, but looks like the fire starts from the head, and then...
Yeah, Mrs. Cap was explaining it to me. She was thinking that it was maybe like
like a hose or something, because
what
what happened...
disconnected.
Like, remember at the end of RoboCop, when RoboCop stabbed the dude in the neck, and he's like, "Oh!" Like, it was that, but with fire coming out of the Disney dragon. It was just an explosion, and the whole body just got destroyed, and I'm not sure what damage...
If I was there and I was like in charge of the parade, I would be like, I like, as the firefighters are coming in, I would like put like heads on them or some kind of thing, and I'd be like, "Oh, they're destroying the dragon," because the dragon's the bad guy, right?
Right.
I would just edit the story mid thing and be like, "Don't worry, kid."
Turn it into a message about 9/11. Yes.
I don't know if I go that
far. But yeah, it is. There's no salvaging that. I'm not sure if there's anything damage done underneath, because they have Tom Sawyer Island. That's where they do. That's where they show the Phantasmic show.
This is totally a jump in topics, but I was blown away with this. I was at dialysis, and they were playing music on the radio, and then like I hear like Rush come on.
Oh.
And I start singing along with it, and like and it's Tom Sawyer, and like my tech was like, "Oh, what song is this?" I'm like, "Tom Sawyer, Rush." And then like I was like, and he was like, "Oh, I never heard of it." And I was like, "It's like one of the most famous songs of all time." Like, and I turned to the person that shared down from me, like, "You know Tom Sawyer?" He's like, "No." And then like I felt like I walked into this weird alternate dimension where nobody knew Tom Sawyer, and I was just like, "What the? How do none of you know Rush?" Like, I mean, even if you don't listen to it, it's just one of those like it would be like not knowing the Beatles, like I was blown away by that. Like, I mean, like,
it's like when I walked into a Hot Topic a few years ago, and I asked one of the cashiers was talking about X-Files, and they had no idea what it was. Like, it's X-Files. Like, it was one of the biggest TV shows in like the 90s. Like,
I just watched that movie. Yeah, it's gonna piss off some people if they watch it, but I thought it was good. Except some of the joke, it was at first I thought the jokes were really funny, but then it was the same joke for 2 hours,
Oh.
But you people, overall I thought it was a good movie. Shit, I forgot how this connected. Sorry.
Happy 420, kids. Happy 420.
Wait, what were you saying just a second ago?
Your mama.
Hot topic.
Yes, your mama.
No.
my favorite quote from Men in Black 2. No, Hot Topic. The clerk did not recognize the X-Files.
Oh yeah. The guy from the X-Files, isn't it? That was my point. Yeah. It was really funny because he plays one of the parents. The parents are the best parts of it. The plot is Jonah Hill as Jewish, obviously. He meets a woman who is African American, and it's about those two cultures coming together.
Right.
But the first part when he brings her home, and Jonah Hill's parents, which is David Duchovny and Elaine from Seinfeld, meet her. It's the funniest thing.
Right,
she's like, "I'm just gonna
Dreyfus." What's her name? Something Dreyfus.
Yeah, Julie Louis Dreyfus, something like that. Yeah. So she's like, "I'm just gonna put this out to the group. It is fucked up what the police are doing to black people."
That's still relevant.
Yeah, and then so he like freaks out, grabs his mom, takes her into the kitchen. He's like, "Just talk to her like a person, like." And then they come back into the room, and his dad, David Duchovny, has like her sat next to him, and he's on the piano playing jazz music about like acceptance and stuff. It's the most awkward thing I've ever seen. And I was just he plays it so well. Like he just plays this kind of character that doesn't give a shit.
Right.
And then it's got Eddie Murphy as her parents,
Oh, okay.
and and Jonah
Okay.
Hill's trying to impress Eddie Murphy, but he kind of has the same problem. He starts rattling off stuff, but Eddie Murphy's definitely it's a movie a lot about racial relations, so it's not going to appeal to everybody.
Does Jonah Hill start to try to freestyle or something?
Nah, he like it's so funny when you say this stuff out loud. He wants to ask her parents if he could marry their daughter, and to do that, he takes them out to lunch at Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. And then like he gets home and she's like gets off the phone and she's like, yeah, I just talked to my parents, and she's like, why did you do that? And he's like, I don't know.
Actually, fellow nerd Dan and I went to Roscoe's the other day. It was delicious.
Hey, dude, it's awesome. I mean, I love that place. I've eaten there myself. I mean, it's one of those things like I have no idea where the stereotype came from because chicken and waffles is fucking delicious.
It's delicious.
Yeah, I saw this one mythical nerd Josh, if you watch Good Mythical Morning, made like fried chicken, but he used like donut batter or something like that. That sounds dope too.
That sounds like a
anywho. But yeah, if you're the type of person that doesn't get upset and is interested in that kind of thing, I this is like a mini review, but yeah, it's a good movie on YouTube. It does go a little long with the same joke though. That's the one thing I think that kind of holds it back. It's that same joke of like, oh, I'm going to say something awkward in front of someone from a different culture.
Okay.
And then they just do that joke again and again. Whereas if you were just to take the individual jokes out, kind of like we did just now, where I'm like, oh, this happens, and then we're like thinking that's funny. That's because it's not been beaten into us for 2 hours, you know?
Right.
But anyway, let's move on to nerdy news. So you said, so we're talking about the dragon. It's set fire. That's a bummer. I hope they fix it soon. They should have the money to do so.
I don't know. According to Disney, they don't have much money laying around.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Sometimes, I mean, I would enjoy being in some of those actual financial investor meetings and stuff like that. But
well, actually, here's a related Disney news. The park security they're on a different union than the attractions people, and they renewed their contract with an $8 raise.
Nice.
That is good for them. Good for them that they were able to hold the rodent testicles to the flame, but I hope that the unions for the attractions people fight with the same amount of zeal, because they need something.
Well, they're in a union, so they're doing better than a lot of companies.
Yeah.
Although I get that's getting political. People are going to be like, "Wow, I hate unions." If you do, you do. I mean, I think that there's something to be said. I do understand some of the other side of it, but
yeah,
I don't want to go there.
I've never been in a union.
Marvel announced I've worked in a company that had union employees, and I'll say some of the hard part is like you can't just be like I had an employee that didn't want to use the computer. They didn't want to check her email. Well, I can't just like say like you need to check your email like you could at like some of the jobs me and you have worked. I had to like go and talk to like HR and be like, I have this employee, and then they handle it because they have union representatives and everything like that. So it makes a more complex system for people that are in management positions. But then again, it protects the people. So I don't know. Again, I don't really want to go there.
Right. But good. Good for park security. Yes.
Yeah. Good for park. Yeah, it's always good. Anytime someone gets a raise, I'm always happy.
And that's a huge chunk of money. It is a big.
Yeah, $8 an hour is pretty good. Yeah.
Normally, raises for us low-level peasants is like a nickel. That's true.
So Marvel announces that Layla Ifuli will be making her comic book debut in July's 25th issue of Moon Knight. So this is interesting because this is the first time an MCU character is making the jump to comic books. We've seen stuff like this with like Harley Quinn and Batman.
Yeah.
Series, but this is the first time it's happened. So yeah, we're gonna see Scarlet Scarab in Moon Knight City of the Dead. It's a 5-issue limited series from David Paposi and Marcela Ferreria. So, what did you like Scarlet Scarab? Are you interested to see her in comics? Where do you fall on that?
I'm indifferent. I mean,
yeah, I'm more or less indifferent for a character. I do think that it's cool that there's an Egyptian superhero. I think that's cool. And especially like I'm interested to bring in more of that lore. I like the fact that she had the hippo goddess as her patron. I thought it was an interesting lore, and I didn't fall in love with her superhero persona, but I did think it was interesting.
Right.
So I think there's a spark of something. So if they expand on it and they do it well, then hell yeah. And I'm always in favor of new superheroes.
Right. Wasn't Coulson originally adapted for the MCU and then put in the comic?
Oh yeah, I suppose he was, but he wasn't.
He wasn't like a superhero. He's just
He's not a superhero. Right. Yeah, so I guess that's the difference. But yeah, you're right. Coulson did make the jump.
But I mean, you know what? That's cool though. But see, here's the thing. Red alert, kids. A new legend of the Scarlet Scarab is going to emerge in a different medium.
Yeah.
Oh no!
It seems like people are more forgiving. Well, I guess not always, but I would say overall people are more forgiving in comics than they are movies.
Which is weird. Really weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But I would say not always, because you had a lot of people hating Jane Foster Thor.
Right. I mean, you can even go back to, my goodness, Tim Drake. Fans voted to kill him. Yeah. I mean, but
so interesting you mentioned that. I didn't put it in the news, but there is a report recently about how close that margin was.
Oh yeah,
it was like 72 votes, and they found out this one guy was like robocalling it. So had that guy not done it, Tim Drake would have lived.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. But I mean, that's exactly why hate bombing things is a bad idea. Well, I mean, I think now we realize this, whereas maybe back in the past we didn't. Right. But
well, I mean, we saw something similar with Sanjaya with was it my goodness, the Simon Cowell show. What's it called? My goodness, American Idol. Yeah, American Idol.
Oh yeah,
with Sanjaya.
Howard Stern trying to get his
trying to get Sanjaya pushed through to the end. So
yeah, he was getting his base all worked up.
Right.
The what I was gonna say though, so kind of goes back to what we started the show talking about, but like so here's where I kind of go back to that almighty dollar thing. I was not a huge fan of Jane Foster Thor, mostly because I read it for the Thor character. And I wasn't. They made him like a homeless man and stuff like that. But here's the thing: those books sold well, and they were selling well better than standard Thor. So clearly, it's got an audience. A lot of people love Jane Foster Thor. So great, cool. I'm happy you love it. I just read other comics at that point.
Right.
But again, so like everybody also complained about Twilight Lobo. The Twilight Lobo didn't sell.
No.
The first book sold. After that, nobody paid any interest to it.
Right.
And guess what? That character was gone.
Just don't look. Just don't look.
Yeah.
There you go.
But I mean, that's why I think that like the best thing you can do is just okay. I'm not watching it. I'm not giving them my money. I'm done.
Just don't look.
But anyway, I'm interested in Scarlet Scarab. I don't think there's enough to go off with what we got in Moon Knight. She was cool enough. I think the spark in Moon Knight was fine. Let's see what they do in the comics.
Right. So just give us a good story. That's
I mean, that's always the case. Yeah.
Story first.
James Gunn's Superman Legacy will reportedly be getting filming in January in Atlanta.
Nice.
Really excited for that personally.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope people aren't too mean with whoever they cast.
Of course they are.
I know they're going to be mean. I just wish they wouldn't. Like, I mean, like whoever they cast in the role, that person is not like responsible for not being Henry Cavill.
So here's the thing. It is. I don't know. I lost my train of thought. Here, sorry.
That's all good.
My brain just went.
It happens to all of us.
No, it's fine.
But anyway, but yeah, I'm excited that project's moving at full steam. I'm looking forward to that.
Right.
So Variety Report this. For those of you that follow me on Twitter, you'll know that I had an opinion about this already.
Mm-hmm.
Variety reports that season 4 of The Mandalorian will tell us about Din Djarin and how he will help the New Republic in the fight against remnants of the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Reason, so I immediately responded to that story, and it was our most liked tweet.
Nice.
Let's see if I can find it. Oh, come on, where are you? Well, basically, I said, wait, so he's going to do exactly what he said he was going to do in the finale? I am shocked. And yeah.
What?
I mean, yeah, they already told us that. Why is that news? But I guess they confirmed it, so I threw it into the news.
But isn't them ending on that note confirming it?
Yeah, I mean, I guess there was the only thing that really needed confirming was whether or not there was a season 4. We'll get into this in our review, but
right.
That would have served, and a lot of people thought, oh, this is the end of The Mandalorian.
Mm-mm.
And it would have served as a perfectly fine ending to the show.
Right. Could have.
But anyway, we'll get into that in our review. So, Super Mario Brothers news. It's earned $58.2 million in the film's third domestic weekend. That is a drop, but this movie is crushing it. It's predicted to cross 1 billion worldwide by next week.
Nice.
This is by and far the most successful video game movie ever made. I have not seen it.
I haven't seen it yet.
I don't care enough to like seek it out in a movie theater situation.
Right.
I might rent it or something when it drops down to like $5 on Amazon. But
right.
Yeah. I mean, people seem to be liking it though. It didn't do well critically, but audience scores it seems to be doing well. I mean, like, I would totally take a kid to see this, you know?
Yeah. Just my youngin is sort of interested in it. Mrs. Cap and I were indifferent. I don't care personally. It's not smashing anybody who likes it or dislikes it.
Yeah, no.
I'm a Nintendo fan. I'm not a huge Mario fan. I played the games, but as far as the characters, whatever. But it'd be great. And Memorial Day is coming up too, so it's going to pass 1 billion easy. I mean, that's awesome.
They're talking worldwide as well. But I found it funny. Like, I've been seeing people who are now saying like, "Oh, can't believe this is doing so good. Look at this much more interesting art noir film," and they bring up the old school Mario movie. Okay. Here's the thing, though. It kind of comes back to what we've talked about before. One of the main reasons nerds get upset, and maybe they should or shouldn't, I mean, I don't think they should, but is because you get movies that are so far and away different from what you think the characters should be,
Right.
And I think that's why the first Mario, I think it was a bad movie. I can't remember it, but I remember being like, wait, why is this Mario?
Right. So again, familiar but different.
Yeah. I mean, I'm okay. I don't know. Yeah, well, forget it. I don't want to get into this discussion. So I put this in the news, but it doesn't really fit our audience. But I feel like it's important because even if it's not a film franchise that works for us, it's one that had mass pop culture.
Is this the Twilight story?
The Twilight story, yeah.
Yep.
So Stephanie Meyer will be involved in the Twilight reboot. Lionsgate will be developing the series before trying to sell it to a streaming service and network. So Twilight is coming back again. It's not. I've actually seen all the movies for various reasons.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give it one little bit of credit.
Mm-hmm.
The third movie, I think it was. Maybe it was the fourth movie because then they split the third one. I can't remember.
I don't know.
But there's a fight scene at the end.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, had Avengers not come out that time, it would have been the coolest fight scene of any movie. It was like watching X-Men characters kill each other.
Right.
Only the only way they could kill each other was by ripping off heads, except nobody brought a sword, so they were doing it with their bare hands.
That's
and
awesome.
all of them had special powers and stuff like that. It was really cool. And I was like, wait, did this show just get good all of a sudden? You know?
Right.
And like main characters are dying, and I'm like, holy crap.
Right.
And then like it was like, oh, it was all a dream. It's like, what? Anyway.
Like, what's the point?
Yeah, but it does have massive pulp culture, I guess, waves.
Money. Money's the word you're looking for. Yes.
Well, yeah, but people, again, what we were just saying, people loved Twilight. So, you know.
You know what? Twilight is... So, my aunt, growing up, and she still does, hi, Squirt. She used to read a lot of those supermarket love stories, like the ones with Fabio on them, just the ones you buy. And that's what Twilight was, but for a younger audience.
I agree.
It's not for us. Like, that's it.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't fault anybody that loves it. Yeah.
Right.
I couldn't tell you whether. I mean, okay, so I've talked about it before. I was a fan of the Anita Blake series. Anita Blake was a little bit of that, but it had so much cool shit going on that I didn't care. So it was something I think that you could enjoy, whether you were someone with more my taste or someone with more Twilight taste. But I think it went more hardcore than, like, you know, like there was more blood and gore and stuff like that in it. So
I saw the first two Twilight movies in theaters. Again, they're not for me, but apparently the author, I forget her name, Stephanie Meyer. She came up with the idea for this franchise from a dream. Yeah. That's cool. I can admire that. I think that's cool. And if you watch the first movie, you can see like the one scene that stood out to me was when they go play baseball. Like vampires, they like playing baseball, but because they're so intense with how they play, they have to play baseball in a thunderstorm to hide their activity.
Yeah, and time that. Yeah, stuff like that is kind of
if somebody would be like, hey, do you ever see Twilight? What'd you like about it? I'd point to that scene.
Like, I agree with you. Stuff like that's interesting. There are weird things like why do they go back to school and you know, they use Google to find their answers, and a character shows up at the end that you've never met before, and yet he resolves everything. I mean, there, and like I said, just making it all a dream and stuff. There are things that, like, okay, cool, we got a cool werewolf, you know.
Right.
I like the wolves. I like the way the wolves looked and stuff like that.
Apparently, they used in the books they kept their clothes in their mouths. Yeah. That was never depicted in the movie, so shame. Movie.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
shame.
They made more money every time.
You didn't make it canonical, damn it! You changed the source material, derp derp.
I loved it. What's his name? I saw this interview with God, what's his name? Seth Rogen and the guy that he was in Neighbors, but he's known for High School Musical. What's his name?
Oh, Zac Efron.
Yeah, Zac Efron. They're in a thing, and Zac Efron's like, well, yeah, he kept pressuring me to take off my shirt, but apparently Seth Rogen's like, dude, we're in this together. The more you take your shirt off, the more money we make. And right.
So I was going back to Twilight.
Well, anyway, I hope that I'm interested to know, are they excited about this? Or are they not excited about this? And if you are excited, no, what are you doing? No.
Like, Like another.
He was drinking my Kool-Aid. Damn it!
Uh-oh. Respect the pouch. Respect it. So, another weird detail that I just point out from what I know about the franchise is that they all live in like Oregon or something that is known to have just inclement weather always. It's constantly raining. It's constantly overcast. Oh, it's because they shimmer in the sunlight. So they choose to live. Like, that's a weird universe detail that I sort of dig. That's interesting. That's a super interesting thing. So,
Yeah.
I like stuff like
you
that.
can kind of admire certain things, especially as a creative, because you're like, oh, that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. It's just like an extra layer of thought that I could admire, especially with what I'm
yeah,
working on right now.
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. I mean, but anyway, I mean, if interested to know anyone that, if we have anybody that's into the Twilight series, are you excited about this? Or are you not?
Right.
I'd be interested to know. This one is back to more our neck of the woods. I didn't know this, but the people that are making the upcoming Beast Wars Transformers, they're also making an animated Transformers movie that's going to be telling the origin of Optimus Prime and Megatron. Direct quote: "We really are telling the origin story of all Transformers.
Nice.
Well, they were at the beginning of it, how they to how they grow to how they grow apart." That's going to be coming out July 19th, 2024.
Take all my money. Take all of it. So, for those who don't know Transformers, Optimus Prime wasn't originally Optimus Prime. He was Orion Pax. He was just a normal, everyday working Transformer until he inherited the matrix of leadership from, I think, Alpha Trion. I think it was the dude's name. And he became, that's where he became the leader of the Autobots, hence born Optimus Prime. Megatron, his origin has changed a little bit. He's been a slave. He's just been a conqueror. Still interesting contrast between the characters. I love it because Beast Wars is my favorite Transformers ever because it touches upon. I guess you would say it's canonical to the original source material, the original TV show. You can watch all of the original TV show, then hop into Beast Wars, and everything sort of has a closed loop to it. It's nice. I love that. So if they explore that in an animated form, like showing the genesis of it all, fuck yeah, take my money. Take all my money. All of it.
All right, well, so Cap is our resident Transformers big ultra fan, so
right there, baby.
I'm glad that you're excited for it.
I really hope the Beast Wars movie is good. And
me too. I mean, I mean, me and you differ a little bit. I didn't like the Michael Bay movies, but I liked the first one, or at least aspects of it.
Yeah.
And then
that's fine. It's like how I like aspects of Twilight. You can like aspects of Transformers. It's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the first Transformers movie I had a good time watching. And so I'm more. I mean, I thought aspects were impressive, and I did have a good time. I can see the flaws in it though.
Right.
But I think the Bumblebee movie so far has been their best.
That's been the best. Just scale it down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that it's harder to, but you have to pull it off if you're going to try it.
Right.
To make non-human characters the leads, and so I understand why they shifted the perspective to humans, but if you're gonna do that, then you're immediately like losing the game.
Right.
The other option is to shift it down smaller so that you have one human and one like what they did in Bumblebee. But yeah, it's very hard in a live action universe to make these characters like Optimus Prime has no mouth.
Yeah.
You can do it though. It's just you have to really put the effort in.
Yeah.
Anyway, so last thing I got, we talked about it briefly, I think, but Godzilla X Kong, or Godzilla and Kong, the new Empire, releases on March 15th. We had a little teaser trailer. If you haven't seen it yet, brief description. I mean, it's super short.
Of course.
Is we see this, like, it looks like Kong, but then you realize it's
Baby Kong.
Here.
Okay. Huh? Baby Kong?
It's not. Yeah, it looks like Kong.
Right.
but it's not. As it zooms out, you realize it's lankier, kind of more orangutan shaped,
Okay.
has glowing eyes, and it's sitting in a throne. And there's bones from all sorts of kaiju's, and it just zooms out and out and out and out, and then we see the skull of Godzilla and the skull of Kong.
Coming next March, King Louie returns in The Jungle Book: Wrath of Louie. Yes.
Well, this thing looks pretty scary. I think they did a good job at making it look like a terrifying kaiju, especially with its like throne room shot. I actually do.
That's
I think the teaser trailer did its job. I was like, wow, this looks fucking cool.
Right.
It had a very kind of. I think of like Elric, the comic did it well, of him sitting in his throne and stuff. But these are like kaiju's, which is interesting.
Right.
And he looked like this lankier kind of evil ape.
Yeah.
And clearly he's decorated throne room with all these things.
That's awesome.
And now there's like the Kong and
the Godzilla
skull. So what's his deal? Who is he? We have no idea at this moment. People are throwing out theories. I don't know. But it did its job. I'm excited to see it. I have to admit, it's not my favorite franchise, but I've enjoyed seeing the MonsterVerse unravel.
I mean, it's what the Marvel cast is doing when they're not shooting Marvel movies. They're shooting King Kong movies.
Well, Godzilla. That's the thing I always think, though. Like, Godzilla's got to be a hard character to write. Because at least for me as a reader, he's Godzilla. So he's the king. He's the greatest. He's the GOAT, you know? And,
right.
And so if he loses, I'm like, what the fuck?
Right.
Godzilla wouldn't lose.
King of nothing. King of lies.
Yeah. And then, but if he doesn't go up against something that's, you know, a bigger threat than he is, then it's hard to build the stakes. So I feel for anybody writing these franchises. It's probably easier to make Godzilla the villain, which he is sometimes, because then you can root for the hero. But like what they did with Mecha Godzilla, not in these movies, but in the in the Japanese movies.
Right.
But anyway, I'm excited. The villain looks dope as hell. So yeah, I recommend it. You haven't seen the teaser?
I haven't seen it yet.
Watch it out.
Yeah, I'll check it out when we go.
It's only like a few seconds long.
Oh, of course.
Literally.
Yeah.
So, and then last thing, this is just this isn't movie news, but this is just for you Netflix people out there. I'm a Netflix person. They're going to be cracking down on password sharing in the U.S. during the second quarter of this year.
I heard about that. Yeah.
So companies will give users the option to add 2 more people outside their homes for an additional cost. We'll see where that goes. I mean, I think part of what made Netflix is they were cool about that stuff. And now it's kind of like the Simpsons episode. We're like, come on, Netflix, you used to be cool.
Right.
we're still cool. We're still cool.
I just checked out that trailer really quick. That does look cool.
Yeah, he looks pretty scary, right?
Yeah, he's like scary. He's intimidating. He's articulate. He's, I don't know.
Something about him being like that, like more long-limbed, lankier.
Yeah.
It just there's something it feels evil, you know, and that's what. And then I love the throne room with the bones.
Oh, the bones! Stuff that is pretty cool. That'd be a good wallpaper.
Yeah. Awesome. Anywho, so that's all I got in nerdy news. Do you have anything?
No, I think we've sort of covered everything.
All right, cool. Well, let us know if we got anything wrong. We are not infallible.
Actually, I've got one last thing. I forgot that it came out. So, Netflix premiered a 30-year anniversary Power Ranger movie.
Oh, yeah. I sort of had that in the review section. Did you watch it?
So, I was going to watch it today. I heard it's only an hour. So
okay, look, I'm a little old for Power Rangers, so the nostalgia bug didn't hit too strong with me.
Okay.
I was sitting up last night, and I was mostly curating our news list, and I thought I'd put it on just because I figured we'd probably discuss it because it's Power Rangers.
Right.
Put it on. I watched the first 10 minutes of it, and I was just like, no, turn off. I'm sorry if you love it, you love it. I'm
Right.
so glad they made this for you,
Mm.
but it's not for me. And that's really all I can say about it. It felt like Power Rangers though. I mean, like what I've seen, it's people in colorful costumes jumping around.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, they will say they explain
Trini.
Trini's death like
Yep.
straight off. That's the point of the movie.
Yeah.
Is she's killed by Rita, and then like they're all like, and they're having to deal with the repercussions of that.
Right.
And then I think they also explained away why Tommy. I didn't watch past this point, but I noticed that the two characters you saw were Zach and Billy,
Right.
but Tommy obviously sadly is no longer with us.
Right.
I heard that Amy Joanne Johnson, or is that her name, the Pink Ranger?
Amy Jo Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard she didn't want to do it. And the Red Ranger, isn't he like in jail now or something?
One of them is.
Yeah, so you heard their voices when they were in costume and like and stuff like that.
Right.
But you never see them. And then like Rita in the beginning of the film's like, ha ha ha, I captured them. Now they're away and I've got them. And I was like, oh, so that's their way of working around that, Like,
okay.
So it's like, hey, we got the original Power Rangers.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know, but again, it might be an awesome movie. I have no opinion on it. I watched it.
I'm gonna watch it. It's good. I'll tell you this. I like the fact that it's a Trini story. The Yellow Ranger, because everybody likes Tommy, everybody likes Jason. They're the cool ones. But here's little Trini. Let's avenge her. Apparently, it's about her daughter.
The original Zords, I always thought that hers was kind of one of the more interesting ones. Because it reminded me of the Voltron Lions.
Yeah. I wish. I know why, because it was just so limited back then. But I wish we got to see more of the Zords, individual Zords, in action.
I always thought when I was watching it, like why don't they split and fight in this form? Why do they always go straight to
budget?
But
anyway. Yeah, like in Voltron, they would fight as the Lions first, and sometimes they didn't need to form Voltron. Sometimes they could win the day.
And it also undoes the lore of the series, because they're not the reason, because people go, well, why didn't they just, because remember the Megazord would do the thing with its sword and it would insta kill everything.
Yeah.
And you go, well, why didn't they do that first? And it was because they had like a creed as a Power Ranger that you're not allowed to escalate things.
Right.
So you can only use a force measurable to the force being given.
Right.
So that's why they always ended with it, because they couldn't stop the monster anyway. So, okay, let's use the sword.
Right.
Fine. But you didn't even try and fight non-Megazord. You went straight to Megazord.
Right.
Like, honestly, just make a Megazord. Don't even bother with having individual Zords.
Well, the only Zord that they really had do anything was the T-Rex.
The T-Rex.
Because that can easily be a person in a suit. Every once in a while, the Mastodon would take off its head, and it would be like a shield. Like, that was cool.
Well, that was already in Megazord.
Yeah. But, wait, wasn't there... God, I thought there was one episode where the Triceratops had like a... Did a...
No, the Triceratops could use freeze breath.
Yeah,
there was
that's
a
what
couple
it was.
Episodes where they showed... I say I didn't watch it, but now I know all this stuff. Yeah, each of them did occasionally do something.
Right.
Like, it was pretty rare. But yeah, the Triceratops could freeze you with its nose.
Yeah.
Or no, not the Triceratops.
The Mastodon.
Mastodon.
Yep.
Triceratops could fire
the horns, yeah.
The horns, and they were hooks, like in chains. And then the what do you call it? Sabretooth kind of ran by you, and then sparks came out.
Yes.
I asked so one of our fellow nerds, Super Killer, we were just talking about him. He's a huge Power Rangers fan, and he posts a lot of stuff on Twitter about Power Rangers, and he showed one of them busting out their poses and then the explosions behind them. And I was just like, yeah, but when they do their power up, it finishes and there's giant explosions and colors and everything. And I was like, so do they know like a pyrotechnics guy that we like never meet, and they okay guys, so we're gonna all do this, and then we pose, and then you're gonna go ahead and blow the switch, and he was like, in case you're not joking,
it's the power from the morphin grid.
Yeah. And I was like, that's cool. I'm sure there's an explanation, but it's still silly when you put thought behind it.
Yeah, but, just whatever. Power Rangers.
It is whatever, dude. If you get hyped over that, that's awesome. You know?
So a part of me did like the reboot that came out. I liked how it was a little bit of a darker tone. Honestly, I had a blast writing our Power Ranger pitches. I loved doing my Power Ranger pitch. That was I say this with every pitch, but it was probably one of my favorites that we did was Power Rangers.
Anyway, well, we'll hear what Cap's thoughts are. My thoughts are on Power Rangers. It wasn't for me. I watched 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Once they captured the Rangers, I was just like, yeah, okay. And they were driving away in that car.
The Beetle? Do they have the VW still?
And then all of a sudden it like starts flying the air.
Yes.
I was just like, I did something else at that point. Anyway,
can't they teleport back to the command center?
I don't think Zordon was there anymore. I don't know. No. They mentioned that briefly, like if Zordon was still around and blah blah blah. It's mostly like shots of like the Japanese style thing of them being Power Rangers, and then at least a little bit I saw was like Billy and Zach not acting well and being like, well, what should we do? I think we should do this. Right. And I was just like, oh.
Anyways, want to jump into some battle nerds?
Yeah, okay. So this, we got to announce last week's winner. Surprise, surprise. And I'm a little bummed about this, to be honest. But Spock destroyed Superman. I think Cap, you came up with a good argument, so I do support that. But I guess I'm just a little bit bummed. I wanted to see Superman go further. I
would have loved to represent Superman at one point, but
yeah,
I could. Yeah. Spock. So this is what I like about Star Trek more and more. The more that Spock comes up, is that they discuss things like, "Hey, here's the problem. What do we do? Well, we got this alien super god that is fueled by this and it's weak to this, so." The Enterprise is well within the capability of like, all right, set phasers to target this frequency that matches that of kryptonite. Let's set all shields so that it emits red light. So there's ways that I can see them sciencing their way out of it.
No, I agree. Like I said, I think your argument is sound. But regardless, the fans voted, and Spock takes the win. Superman is now no longer a fighter, so Spock is actually back in first place.
He's tied with
the Wolverine.
Nice.
They both have 4 wins under their belt. The big question is what's going to happen when Spock goes up against Wolverine. I don't know.
They fought before.
Yeah. That is true. And Spock Anywho, so Battle Nerds is a game where we have a list of 100 iconic characters. We started with a list, I should say. We random roll each week to see who we get, and then we have to come up with a convincing argument as to why our character would win. This week, Cap rolled He-Man, and I rolled up Naruto Uzumaki. And so, yeah. So these two are now throwing down. Why do you think He-Man would win, and also which version?
So I'm going with the Injustice version of Superman, because I'm no longer giving any wiggle room for the anime characters who are just monstrously overpowered. Not making that mistake again, Frosty. So I'm going.
Well, you didn't even look up your opponent. You're like guy with a sword, and I was like, he's a guy with a sword that can cut into hell. And you're like, oh.
But Wolverine,
you gotta research your opponent,
Wolverine
dude.
Fought his way out of hell.
He fought his way out of hell, but but it's sliced, and we allow BFRs on this show.
Yeah. So I'm going Injustice version. What version of Naruto are you going with?
Well, I only really know the animated series. I haven't watched it all. I'll do my best to represent. I know some. There's some hardcore Naruto fans out there, so I'll do my best to represent him.
Mm.
Um, this is Naruto's second fight, though, on our show. You had him against Robin Hood.
That wasn't a fair
and
fight.
and
That was...
very not. I thought I came up with a good
You
argument,
did.
but
Just
I used a comic version of Robin Hood, Robin Hood with a Y,
mm-hmm.
and I came up with what I thought was a foolproof plan to defeat him. But anywho, what do you guys think?
Right.
Well, let's get into the debate. So, why can He-Man defeat Naruto,
Well,
a ninja with just such a list of powers?
Well, what are Naruto's powers? Just go through them really quick because
he's
got.
Can't go through them really quick.
Okay, but so he's a demon fox god.
No, so Naruto has a lot of, and people can represent him better than me, but
right.
Yeah, so he's a very powerful ninja from a very powerful line of ninjas that was bound to one of the tailed beasts. Specifically, he's got the 10-tailed demon fox beast, which is put inside of him. At first, they worked against each other, but as the series progressed, you learn how to work with him. It basically makes him an unkillable opponent because the 10 tails won't let him die, literally will not let him die. He's got insane abilities. I mean, the one he's most famous for is the shadow clones, but obviously he's got the Rasengan Shuriken and things like that. But even then, he can go into kaiju mode. And then he's like this giant glowing red fox thing. So he's insanely powerful.
I would love to see this fight escalate to where it's He-Man fighting this giant nine-tailed fox kaiju. That would be fucking awesome.
Okay, so basically, like here's a fast rundown that someone put together, but it's not everything. So he has full control of the nine-tailed chakra. He's got the Uzumaki bloodline. They have no idea how powerful his chakra reserves are. With Kurama, with half of its power stated to be able to turn the entire world into ash. So he is a world breaker minimum. And he has 117 different types and forms of Rasengan. He's used all 9 different versions of each tailed beast. He has I'm going to skip over some of the stuff because I don't understand it. Sage mode, that is where I kind of left the series, so I don't know the ending, but the fight with him against Pain, so good. But he learns to master Sage mode, which gives him kind of like Spider-Man abilities, like because he can sense things now. And so he would be able to sense He-Man, how he's attacking before he can attack. He has access to elements of earth and wind. He has levitation abilities. Obviously, ninjas can run on top of water and things like that. He can heal himself almost instantly, and his reaction time is supposedly FTL, faster than light.
Okay.
So he is definitely someone that is going to throw down with He-Man.
He's going to throw down with He-Man. So He-Man, general list of powers, superhuman strength, stamina, durability, speed. He has a weapon, obviously the power sword. I think we're omitting Battle Cat from this one because it's just He-Man, because Battle Cat's his own player.
If we allow Battle Cat, then I would be allowed an ally.
Right. So
we allow allies, but I don't think it's needed in this fight.
Right. So, oh my goodness.
Well, actually, that's a question. Can I use my summoning jutsu? I mean, I think that should be allowed because that's literally him summoning in creatures with his powers.
Yeah, I mean, then it would be up for debate as to whether or not He-Man can use Battle Cat,
but he can't summon Battle Cat. You know what I mean? He has to show up with Battle Cat. Battle Cat's the same thing.
So
I think that's where the difference lies. Yeah, I mean, it would be like if he brought in Sakura.
right,
Well, then that's him bringing an ally with him. But
right,
the fact that he can summon a giant toad to fight for him,
yeah,
that's sort of a power, you know?
yeah, yeah, yeah. God, I can see this being a cool fight. He-Man's got that almost like Captain America, like I can do this all day kind of warrior attitude, and I love it.
He's not. I think Naruto's got the martial arts advantage because one thing about He-Man is he prefers to settle fights by
Dip,
discussing
yes,
things, and
diplomacy. Yes.
yeah, he's much more that
Oh,
he
he is a
fights.
prince. That's the prince inside him. So
Yeah, but he fights defensively more like
yeah.
at least classic He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I do see that. So you're going with the this is where I run into trouble. You're going with the what do you call it?
Injustice.
The Injustice version, which scales to Superman.
Right.
So they're both faster than light. Oh God, Superman's so much faster than light.
Right.
I don't know. I think if you go
So,
that like struggle to find a way to win because that version even has the powers of Shazam. But if we, but I mean, oh God, what is a weakness in He-Man? I should have given this more thought. Um,
take his sword away.
well, yeah, but even then he can call upon the powers of Grayskull.
Yep.
Could Uzumaki come out with a win?
Well, so
Um,
he could. He gets his power from Grayskull. So if almost like what He-Man Legends did, where if you disrupt that power stream to He-Man, you can cut him off from Grayskull and just have him be Prince Adam. I suppose that's a
yeah, but
way to do
how?
it. Right.
And even then, so what? You now have the powers of the Rock of Eternity.
Right.
You've pulled a nuke. Is what you did. Is like
I'm tired of these anime characters.
Yeah, I know, but normally we try and scale at least somewhat. Admittedly, I know more about He-Man and Shazam.
Yeah.
But look, here's the thing: Naruto is. I don't know if he scales to that level because I think that level starts getting into
like
your
reality warping, just
not reality warper, but you're a galaxy crusher. Where I think
yeah.
Uzumaki is a bare minimum galaxy crusher,
yeah.
depending on how powerful you view Superman.
Hmm.
But whereas Naruto is a world crusher.
Yeah, right.
So, but I think Naruto might have, if Naruto is going to win, and this is my argument, I guess, Naruto wins by being the better fighter and by having a more diverse combat style.
Okay.
And then the Nine Tails is going to keep him protected. So even if He-Man is like, and I don't think you'd take it that far, he's going to have trouble putting him down.
Right.
Naruto's just going to keep getting up and keep getting up, keep getting up.
Right.
And then he's a better fighter. So does he scale to He-Man's level? No.
But he doesn't have to because he's a better fighter.
We've seen better fighters sometimes not need to.
Right.
And he's got durability on his side. So my argument is based on combat prowess, combat variety, and his durability. I'm gonna give it to Naruto, or at least that's why I think Naruto.
So I can see this escalating. Prince Adam doesn't like escalating, but Naruto keep coming back is forcing him to escalate and escalate and escalate. And I can see He-Man eventually pushing, because once you scale He-Man to Superman level, Naruto can throw whatever he wants. He can throw all his shuriken and blah 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 blah. He-Man's just gonna blink 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 and just be dodgy and moving and just it's. I actually think this would be a really cool fight because it's just one of those things where you just see like over here, over here, over here, and they're just zipping around, just attacking each other. I think it'd be cool as hell. But I could see He-Man or He-Man eventually pushing Naruto to the point where he becomes a giant kaiju, and He-Man is just going to slay the beast he's gonna.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Naruto's pretty smart though, so you could see him like in terms of combat. I could see him doing something like that, shadow cloning, and then I just thought of this stealing jutsu.
Yeah.
Maybe you could steal him off from his power source if he he is smart enough to figure stuff like that out.
Oh, right. So that's what I was saying. Right. So that's what I was saying earlier. Is that if you can find a way to cut He-Man off,
right? I was thinking about how he could do it, but he does have his father sealed stuff,
right?
And he's probably done stuff. So, yeah, the question is can he do it against a guy that has the powers of Shazam on top of the?
Right. So then he'd have to do it from two different sources then, because if he were to cut him off from, let's say, Grayskull, okay, well he's still Shazam. He still has Shazam power, which still kind of plops him right back up. I don't know. So I can actually, if Naruto were to do a shadow clone, and well, one is doing the fighting while the other ones are cutting him off from his power, and just knowing that Naruto won't die because of the god won't let him, just stalling long enough to where, all right, we sealed him off from both of these power sources. Now he's just a man, and then you can crush him strategically. Yeah, I could see that. Like if you were to.
Well, that's a good. Yeah, I could see him winning using, but it gets back down to, I guess, what my argument is that he's the superior, smarter fighter.
Right.
It sounds like you're saying He-Man wins by overwhelming power.
Yes, just Shazam power. That's how you have to deal with anime characters. Just throw everything at them because they're anime characters. They have stupid powers.
Yeah, but they're not that powerful. It depends on the opponent. Anime characters typically lose against, in my opinion, comic book characters because comic book characters have more to pull from.
Right.
And this is why you have the edge, and it's an underdog fight for a Naruto. I think it's because you went comic book. But anyway, yeah. So those are our arguments.
I can go Dolph Lundgren. That'd be great.
Well, then it's over. I mean, the anime character wins. But I mean, comic books just have a longer history.
Yeah, so they have more.
They have more to pull from, more feats. But anyway, so that's our arguments. So overwhelming power versus superior combat skills. What do you guys think? We'll put up a poll on Twitter after this.
Yes. Also, you guys Facebook has polls again, so I will get a poll going on our.
Yeah, we're gonna redo our Facebook at the moment. In that, if you Google Facebook, it takes you to our old Facebook page. We'll have that resolved so that it goes to the correct Facebook.
Yes.
And then we'll update our links and everything. So bear with us on that. But if you're already on Facebook, yeah, definitely vote, and then Cap will let me know on those ones, and then also our normal poll that we do every week, as it will also be up on Twitter.
Right.
And you don't need to be a member of anything to use that. You just if you're not even on Twitter, just go to it, and then you can just click yay or nay.
Right.
Anyway, so that is, and just bear in mind we are talking the animated version of Naruto versus
the
Injustice Shazam. He-Man.
I have those comics. That was a fun read.
Yeah. So let's roll for next week. So I'll pull up our little sheet.
Yes. Oh boy, it's my favorite part.
Still gotta update the sheet and take He-Man off of it.
I rolled an 11.
All right. Hang on 1 second. 11. Oh, you got my favorite character. You got Power Girl.
Yes!
I want Power Girl.
First time combatant, Power Girl.
Yeah, but she's first time fighting. I love Power Girl. This is an interesting one. I mean, right off the bat, I would say Power Girl, but I mean, I'm not gonna make it easy on you. You're going up against the ever-loving blue-eyed Thing.
Oh. Okay.
So Power Girl versus the Thing, two comic book characters going toe to toe. I am probably going to look for a powerful version of Thing. I think he's pretty powerful already, but
yeah,
I'm going up against a Kryptonian, so I'm going to see what I can do.
Nice. Well, I mean, you have somebody that can go toe to toe with the Hulk. I mean,
true, but I'm going up against a fucking Kryptonian. So.
Fair enough.
And a Kryptonian that isn't like, oh, I've got to hold back my fist. No. You know? No, she's just gonna punch him across the galaxy. So,
but after all of it, he'll somehow manage to get up with his broken jaw, he'll snap his
he's
jaw
tough.
back
He's
into
tough.
place,
He's tough.
and he'll
I'm
pop
not
his
saying
arm back
I'm
into
not
his
saying
shoulder.
starting at a weak character. I'm just saying the character I'm going up against scales to Superman. So anytime you say scales to Superman,
Right,
you're at a disadvantage.
right.
Anyway, so tune in next week for that fight. That'll be fun. Actually, I do like getting the underdog characters because that's put more thought into it.
Yeah. Boy, we got 30 minutes to fill with a lot. Why don't I just jump straight to our pitches and we can catch up on Mandalorian and stuff on another day?
See, I'd rather, because the Mandalorian's fresh, and I really, really want to discuss Behold Nerds.
Yeah. Okay. So, want to dedicate. So let's cut some time from next week. Give us at least 45 minutes to dedicate to the pitches. So we're doing Pirates of Blackwater.
Yeah, let's remove a segment, and then we can promote the pitches next week. Yeah. Which segment do you want to remove? Battle Nerds or Behold Nerds? Well, we don't have Mandalorian to talk about.
Yeah, so we can just go shorter on the news. I mean,
well, but we also don't have the Mandalorian, so we don't have a show next week.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we can do that.
All right. So the Mandalorian and then Behold Nerds.
Yeah.
So let's go with, which one do you want to discuss?
Let's do Behold Nerds.
I'm super excited.
I can tell.
So Behold Nerds is our book club. Essentially, we take turns picking movies. We suggest you guys watch it, and then we hope everybody joins us in the discussion. A couple of you guys chimed in, said you liked my pick. I picked Edward Scissorhands. So this is, if The Crow is my favorite movie, this movie is like right here. Watching them kind of almost back to back like we have, I'm like, wow, these movies are really similar. No wonder I like both, except one's more of a comedy.
They're very tonally similar.
Yeah. They're both dark, tragic, gothic romance stories.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize I was such a fan of the romance genre. But they're two of my all-time. They are probably my all-time favorite movies. Like I said, they're like, there's a hair's breadth between them, and I almost put them side by side because they're hard to compare.
Right.
But Edward Scissorhands. So we rewatched this. In my opinion, well, I think true masterpieces don't exist because there is no such thing as a flawless movie. This is as close as you get to a masterpiece. I absolutely love this movie. I have a lot to say about it, but Cap, it sounds like you hadn't seen it in a while. What did you think of rewatching it?
So I remember watching this in the theaters and coming out not knowing what I just watched. I didn't like it. I thought it was bizarre. I know I watched it a few more times, subsequently throughout the years, but I never really sat down as an adult and really watched this movie. And I'm kind of glad that you chose this because I really enjoyed watching it like this go around. I can see why you like it. So with the movies that we each pick, we can kind of see how they reflect us as characters a little bit. So I can see the frostiness in there. One thing I did learn or appreciate after this viewing was I didn't know Vincent Price was the inventor.
Yeah, so we got to see the original Doctor Strange and one of his last roles. Might even be his last role.
It might be, because I was surprised to see him in the credits. Like, wait a minute, I thought he would have already been passed away at this point. But
yeah, it's cool. Anytime I see him immediately, though, I'm just like, oh, it's Doctor Strange.
Oh, that voice. His voice is just. Oh.
Well, he's who they base the character off of.
Right.
He is Doctor Strange. No one will ever not, even though I don't know if he's ever even played the character. He is the character.
Right. So this movie I would call almost like Tim Burton's take on Frankenstein, I guess.
It is. I never caught it before, but it is a lot like Frankenstein. Real fast, we're discussing the casting. Also, you had Winona Ryder as the love interest. You had Johnny Depp as the lead, and that guy from, blanking his name, but he's from 16 Scandals and things like that, as the antagonist. And what's interesting is all of these people were cast against their character type that they portrayed before that.
Right.
And a really fun fact is the studio was pushing Tom Cruise for the lead. He was super hot back then. And that was 100% who they wanted. But Tom Cruise was trying to go, I'm not going to do this. He didn't like the ending. And but fortunately, Burton, and I think the ending is the most beautiful part of the movie.
Right.
Burton was staunchly against that, so he refused it. He had no idea who Johnny Depp was. He was doing 21 Jump Street, and he was this heartthrob kind of thing.
Right.
He hated that status, and then he talked to Burton, and Burton realized like, oh, you're him. You're this misunderstood person.
Right.
And so he got the role and knocked it out of the park. I do think this is Burton at his finest. It's the movie is gorgeous. It's this bizarre, dark fairy tale, but then with suburban,
like late 70s, early 80s suburban. Just everything's brightly colored, and Avon calling,
and all the dads going to work.
Yeah, going to work.
Time. I love the dad character in this movie.
I love the dad character. Just pick up my bootstraps.
He goes along with it, the plot, and he doesn't really. It's just like, this is what I think, and yeah, I don't know. His character's great.
It's super great.
But yeah, like
Johnny Depp is perfect in this movie. He is. My favorite scene was when the dad, Winona Ryder, comes back from camp, and she goes in her room, and Edward is there in her bed that happens to be a waterbed. There's that joke with the scissor hands in the waterbed. But the dad takes Edward's scissor hands downstairs in like his little man cave basement and introduces him to bourbon. And that was funny. Like, poor guy.
Yeah, the scene was perfect because the joke was, he says, she takes the daughter down to meet Edward, who is quite rightly so a monster. He's the freakiest looking thing. He's got blades for fingers, and he's just, and you can see why she's terrified. She's like, he has to live here,
right?
And then they're like, oh, here's Edward, and he's just been given whiskey, and he's like, but
the dad calls it lemonade, and the next scene when the one housewife is like, "Oh, it's lemonade."
I didn't get that as a kid.
So I didn't notice that as a joke either. So I'm glad
I was like, why didn't he like the lemonade? Like,
so that's why.
But so the theme of the movie though is you have a monster, and Tim Burton loves these dark, monstrous characters, but it's sort of like the recent movie Shape of Water. He's not. Monsters aren't what they perceive to be. So, you know what I mean?
So here's what I liked. And Quantum has that moment too. Galaxy Quest had this moment, and this goes straight back to Wizard of Oz. The moment where Dorothy steps out of her house and enters Oz, and everything is colorful and vibrant. So the movie starts off. You have the Avon calling, going door to door, and she's getting rejected by everybody. So she decides to go to the big foreboding house that's there, looming on this hill.
It's just so funny because it's just so this like gothic mansion.
Right, here's suburbia, where everything's like pastel blue and pink and oranges and whatnot. Everything just vibrant color, and then in the background is just Castle Dracula. It's so weird. But the moment
they play with that, because when she gets there, you see how beautiful the garden is.
Right, and that's going back.
So it's gothic beauty,
right? But that's going to my point, is that from a distance it looks awful, but once you get into it, you're stepping into Oz. It's everything is so vibrant up here. Everything is beautifully landscaped. You have all these sculptures around. The flowers are blooming. It's beautiful once you see it up close, and then when she enters that world, she discovers Edward, and then it becomes the flip of it, and this is when it becomes almost Frankenstein, where she introduces the monster.
But they go back to it, like they see him in the shadows and stuff, and then he comes forward. So here's my main takeaway, and I think why I love this movie so much. I love a lot of aspects of it, the darkness and all that, and everything we've discussed. But Edward is a monster, but he's this monster that
misunderstood, because
he's not. I mean, he is misunderstood, but so he is this artistic, beautiful soul that seeks the most basic of human needs, which is love.
Right.
But love turns out to be his downfall, and that's the sadness of the story. But it ends with just a little bit of hope.
Right.
And you had that beautiful scene where Winona Ryder comes out and he's slicing up the statue,
The
and the
statue.
music swells. It everything. So it's that story, which is beautiful and sad
Mm.
in and of itself, but it's told to the most beautiful movie. Now, are there issues? Yeah, you can question things about the movie, but it's better if you don't. Like the cop just being like, "It's over, folks,"
Yeah.
and like they're like, that doesn't make sense. Or like the guy dies. Well, there would be police teams up there.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's so much of this movie that you can
You have to
question.
suspend.
You
Like,
have to suspend your disbelief because those things don't matter. It's missing the point. It's a fairy tale. It's a dark, gothic, tragic,
well, okay, so
beautiful
want
story.
to know the one thing that bugged me most about this movie? The fucking
Okay.
waterbed. Have you ever seen what happens to a waterbed when they pop? Do you know how much water is in a waterbed when they pop? I've had.
Yeah, it was just a joke.
Yeah, I know, but that's my only hiccup with the movie. Is like, wait a minute.
But that's what I mean. I think you can do the wait a minutes in several points of this
Yeah,
movie.
yeah, of course. You can do that with any
But
movie,
yeah,
though.
and then we also have the whole thing with the neighbors. So when he shows up, he starts doing the hedges and everything for
Yeah,
them. And
everybody.
the neighbors are very interested. They accept him into their own.
Mm,
But then again, he searches for love,
mm,
and that's what he was doing then. He was searching for people to be a part of, like
right.
enjoying it. But that the monster looking for love is where it stops. And
Well,
that's
one of the great scenes was when they're all eating dinner. It's like, all right, well, son, going back to the dad, who's one of the best characters of this show of this movie because he just is on board the whole time. He doesn't object to anything. He's like, all right, well, we're doing this.
I know your wife brings home this freaking freaky guy. He's like, "Yep, you can stay in the guest room."
Right. Oh, you're going to have to get a job, son. You're going to have to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. You're going to have to go to the bank and get it. Like, he's...
Yeah, the dad is great.
He's great. And I was like, oh, when he's stapling the faux snow
He's
on
singing the Christmas
he's
song.
just singing along, and Edward's just doing his thing. He's like, where'd he go? Oh, he went that way. It's like, oh, I guess we have to go find him.
The characters that are just themselves and kind of along for the ride are always really fun characters. And
right. But the one scene is when they're having dinner at the table and they're talking about, well, what happens if you find a bag of money? And Edward says, well, I would give it to my friends. I give it to those I care about. And it's like, no, that seems like a good answer, but that's not the right answer. But that tells his character. Like, he cares.
Yeah.
He's altruist, if you will. So I really enjoyed rewatching this. I can see.
Oh yeah, but it breaks my heart every time I see this movie. The part where she comes out and they destroyed each other, and she's got the old model hand and stuff.
Yeah.
And then how did you know he was? Again, you can go like, who's Edward's ice guy? You know,
that is another question. But
like, I need more ice. Yeah,
right.
But forgetting that and just because it ruins it, because the beautiful part is, how did you know he's still alive? Well, it never snowed. And then it cuts down and music swells.
Yeah.
And then he's slicing up these beautiful creations. And so, yeah, I identify with that. Or Edward, he's this beautiful soul trapped in a nightmarish body that only seeks love.
Right.
And yet when he seeks love, he's hurt. And that's why this movie is beautiful but sad. I mean, fuck, I'm almost tearing up just talking about it.
So
I think that's why it's my favorite movie.
When him and Winona Ryder finally part ways, and he says something to the effect of "I have to go now" or something like that, that was a time I felt something again, Frosty. Not gonna lie, my heart maybe swelled up just a little bit.
Oh, dude, I feel like just talking about this movie, and like that the villain, he played such a good villain.
So, oh my goodness, I hate villains like that. Just that chauvinist like Gaston from Beauty and the Beast. Just those alpha bro, just garbage.
Yeah,
villains.
but you're supposed to hate him.
Right, you're supposed to hate them. So everybody take to Twitter, find the actor, and roast him for portraying a character positively. That made me feel things. So the one part that I didn't like, but other reasons, was when the one housewife who's a bit of the cougar who's hitting on the repair guy when she's taking him to this salon, and she's trying to seduce him, and he falls back.
You know that scene where she's feeding him her ambrosia salad?
Yeah.
Johnny Depp threw up because they kept having to reshoot that scene with everybody feeding him food.
Oh,
and
God.
Eventually they throw up.
Just
but continue. Sorry.
No. So, he leaves. Nothing happens, but
when she sexually assaults him.
So the spin on that is, oh well, and it's a throwaway line, but they said it, and I didn't like it. It was the one neighbor who went on to play the one lady in Titanic, kind of the heavier set neighbor.
Yeah.
So, I can't, something to the effect of her accusing Edward Scissorhands of
she did accuse him.
She did. Like, she said, "Oh, well, he damn near raped her," or something like that. I didn't like that because it's
but that's what because later you see her sitting on the couch going, "Well, I'm so concerned with their teenage daughter in the house after what he did with me."
Right.
So she did do that.
Yeah. Right. So that makes me mad.
But I mean, it's a realistic aspect.
It is. It makes me mad. It's not. It's just mad. It made me feel again. This movie made me feel. I'm not mad at the movie.
Yeah, but I mean, again, it all comes back to people's perspective,
right? When
and on it, and like, God, it's sad because
he had a talent.
But I guess I think that's why a part of the reason I like it so much is sad movies stick with me more than happy ending.
Well, what I liked is when he was on the local TV show, and it's like, oh, would you like a set of hands? He's like, yes, I would like to talk to your doctor.
The running gag of everyone saying, "Oh, a doctor,"
Right?
Like, I'd like that information.
Right, but see, he wants so desperately to be normal, but he's sort of a gift to the world, and people like that who are gifts to the world are usually the most isolated because the world doesn't understand them and their creativity and like what's going on in there. So he's. I love how it started with the hedge trimmings, and all of a sudden he became doing hairstyles and everything. And it's funny because that's another joke throughout the movie. Is you still see people, regardless of what their feelings are, they kept his hairstyle. Like, if you look, there's some weird ones. But
I mean, that's the Tim Burton style. Man, it's so sad though. A character that only seeks love, and that the very thing that he seeks being his downfall.
Yep.
And then, like I said, and just how he is this dark, misunderstood thing. And it's a beautiful movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend seeing it.
It's a weird movie. So this was a very weird movie when I was a kid, but rewatching it now, I definitely appreciate it a lot more than I ever did.
I loved it as a kid, though. So, I mean, for me, I guess I appreciated that dark gothic style.
Mm-hmm.
And I think maybe this was my first introduction to it. So I think I loved it stylistically as like a budding artist, if you will.
Okay.
And then
The Crow came out.
But then, like, what I've grown to love about this movie is some of the deeper themes of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. And like, I think it was the first movie I ever saw that ended, and I was like, wait, what?
That's a sad
There's
ending.
no happy ending.
Right.
And so it stuck with me even as a child. It's a just shut up and take my money for me. What is it for you?
8,000,000% shut up and take my money. Humanity is the real monster in this movie. Isn't it always?
There was you are right. I never noticed it before, but it is totally a Frankenstein story as well, especially with the
boy
coming up at the end. And I love how when they were faced with how real everything became and the repercussions of what happened, they were just like, "Well, I'm going home."
Yeah,
and they just walk away,
right.
And
they are the ones who get to walk
and just
away.
Like everything, like Winona Ryder's dress, and this is pearl white dress, and
it's got blood on it.
And it's so good, and that just bloom of red, and there's the little fucking like gargoyles everywhere, and this beautiful garden. Then you see the garden, and now it's overgrown, and anyway, so what's your pick for the next movie?
So we've been doing all the movies that you really liked. I'm going to do it. I'm surprised I haven't picked this one yet, but we're watching Flight of the Navigator. I fucking love this movie.
Okay.
One of my
Yeah,
childhood
it's
favorites.
been a long time since I've seen that
This
again.
movie. Disney Plus. I heard they're remaking it. Okay, but oh my goodness, I love this movie.
Is it on Disney Plus right now? Is that where we can watch it?
I believe so.
Okay.
Disney Plus. Really, really love this movie, and if you haven't watched this movie before, please watch it because it's a fun movie. Quantum has some inspiration from this movie to some varying degrees, so I'd love to talk about that. Going back really quick to Edward Scissorhands, so one thing I was doing throughout this whole movie was I was watching all the backgrounds for all the sculptures, because in Anaheim, and I mentioned this before, there was a house that actually had one of the Bush sculptures from Edward Scissorhands, and I found it. I found it. So it's the scene where they're coming home from the police station, and the reporters ambush the car, and they're running to the door. So it's a shot where the car is coming towards their house on the corner, and on the right-hand side, you see what looks almost like a bear sitting or like a cat sitting. That's the one. That's the one that was in Anaheim across the street from my daughter's old junior high. And it was there for years.
I liked it when he got mad and he made
he started just the devil.
Yeah, for the religious lady.
That was awesome. But yeah, and everything is so sensationalized in this movie. Where it's like, oh, did you hear about what he did to the drapes and the this and the that? Oh, did you hear about what he did with this? Just when things start getting inflammatory, everything just sort of escalates, and it's sort of like the human condition, where here's this strange new thing. Oh,
yeah, no, they definitely,
and Tim Burton nailed it, absolutely nailed it. But
I think this is one of his masterpieces. It's as close to a perfect movie as you can get.
Yeah.
All right, so next week we will be watching Flight of the Navigator. So tune in for our discussion on that. We don't have much time left, so let's jump into the season finale of The Mandalorian. This episode is The Return. God, a lot happens. This also is the end of season 3, so we can discuss what our thoughts are on season 3.
Right.
Spoilers, basic plot is they decide to retake Mandalorian. In the last episode, they discovered that Moff Gideon had a base on it. Probably why they were having trouble getting signals.
Right.
Because Moff Gideon was able to send a signal to that lady.
Yeah.
So it sounds like he was probably jamming it and using the planet as cover for his secret base. Mando and Grogu decide to team up and take down Moff Gideon once and for all. And Bo-Katan is organizing her troops, and they come down to also finalize. That's a lot of cool scenes in this. We had Mandalorians fighting jet troopers.
I didn't want this to end. This is just let's take the toy box, let's dump it all out. Everybody grabs a figure. Let's go play.
Yeah, and then we had this crazy version of Moff Gideon wearing a Dark Trooper suit.
I fucking love Gideon after this. I already liked him up to this point, but and plus when he has like the robot voice, once he put his helmet on, it's sort of reminiscent.
I do have to go. Okay, so the whole his plot. The plot line is okay. First off, he might not be dead because
right, he's clones. He's clones.
But okay, let's assume. So you got Moff Gideon there, and he's like, "All right, so here's what I want. I want to make a bunch of clones of me, only with Force powers." Okay, I think we can do that. You know, the cloning guy. He's like, but so like we'll have them come out. They'll be like 25 years old, nice young virile, can use the Force. No. Make them 60-year-old men. Why?
Because they're protected in Beskar, damn it. He's got a robot suit. He's got a robot suit.
At the height of their physical fitness.
Because that would be too much like Heir to the Empire. They're going to go with an older Giancarlo Esposito, so they don't have to digitally
age him. I'm sorry.
because they couldn't afford Michael B. Jordan to play a younger Giancarlo Esposito. That's why.
Well, anyway, so but yeah, so we got a final battle. My favorite scene in this whole thing was I'll just throw this out there. The it brings in R5, which is great to have more
I love
R5.
R5.
Love the bits with him.
Mm.
Love the little mouser droids and them trying to like
And
come
they're start
back with
bumping
their
into
like
him. You know,
yeah, they're just bumping into. So it's a great droid relief. But R5 doing the blast doors like in episode 1.
Yep.
And then it was like a video game, and each level got tougher and tougher, and he got better gear.
Yep.
That whole scene was great.
Badass.
I just thought that
Absolutely
was such
badass.
cool. Yeah, and then also I really liked the final battle, and then we got to see Grogu. No.
Yep.
And like and we got to see against the what do you call it, the Praetor Guard.
Mm-hmm.
There was so much cool stuff, and then they did a great job of having an arc to everything, whereas they were as Bo-Katan literally vocalizes, we're stronger when we're together. And when her, Mando, and Grogu are all working together,
right,
they were unbeatable.
Right.
And so yeah, this is, and I'm surprised not everybody thinks this is my favorite season
because it's woke. Bo-Katan makes it woke.
I've heard people saying it's clunky and stuff like that. I don't think so. I thought that the whole story was great, and I thought the ending was a solid ending because it's the end of I love it when they do this. The season ended.
Right.
They said this is what we might do, but the story wrapped up. I had a satisfying conclusion.
Right.
Do I want more Mandalorian? Great.
Yes.
Awesome. Super excited for it. But end the season with the way, give it an ending. Don't do that thing where you're like, this is the season's about to end. Oh no, everything bad's happening.
Wait 3 years until the conclusion. Yes.
And you have to wait a year and to see it. I hate it when they do that. Right. No, give a story an ending.
Right. I love this episode. I love seeing the armor flying around. She doesn't use a blaster at all. She just has her hammer and her tools.
She's just haymakering people left and right.
I fucking love that. But she does it with a jetpack. We got to see her use her jetpack. That's fucking cool.
Yeah,
that's really fucking cool.
And Bo-Katan flying forward with the Darksaber leading the charge. There are so many, and just like it was just cool. Like the guy flies up, and then we see him like up there,
right?
And then the things drop like bats.
Yeah.
And they're flying up after him, and then he gets on the ship without even breaking a stride, just goes straight into his sprint.
Right.
And then tells everybody to go down, and they're seconds.
They go, wee, wee, wee.
Yeah, and it was just, everything just was, it was executed well. You know what I mean? Like, I think like people talking about the guy spinning in Book of Boba Fett and firing. There were some execution issues with Book of Boba Fett.
Right.
This was executed well.
Right.
And on top of that, you have a really cool story.
Right. The only thing I am slightly bummed out about is that I was really looking forward to seeing more IG-12, and spoiler alert.
In the Grogu, I kind of thought that too.
I kind of want to see more of that because I thought it would be an interesting. I mean, we still could at some point,
but they brought it back as an interesting thing because now IG-11 or whatever
is sheriff in town.
He's now the sheriff, which they brought up, and then the series ends obviously when we get like they set up the whole thing of him being like, oh yeah, I'll help you hunt the remnants of the Empire, and he has his house and he's sitting there. And
he's chilling on the porch of his own house. He's found peace and he wants to raise his son.
And he helped. He
saved his culture.
Yeah, I know. It's like people are like, oh, what has he got? Bo-Katan's. He doesn't want.
He wants to raise his son. Like
in a world, and he helped preserve his culture for his son.
Right, and we got to see that all pay off when he's like a scene away from cracking open a space Bud Light and just relaxing on the porch of his own house while his son is playing with space frogs. Like, beautiful ending. A charming ending.
No, I thought it was good. But he didn't eat the frog.
No, but I mean, still.
I know, it was just funny because like, it's like, oh, is he going to eat the frog? No, he decided not to.
No, he's just playing with it. But you know what? It was a charming little ending because they had won. And he's found his place in the universe. He's found a place where he could raise his son.
I even like, you can get angry and say bad effects or whatever. I was fine with it. I liked Grogu leaping along the lights, trying to stay out of the way.
It will only get
And
better.
I also really like the fact that Grogu only used the Force defensively. He never attacked with it. He just moved weapons
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
did things like that.
So I
Um,
was hoping that we would see more of that in combination with the IG-12, because imagine
yeah.
IG-12 with two guns, just doing all this clockwork thing while Grogu's using the Force. I would have gone a little bit harder into it, because that's just a cool fucking idea. Let's take a Force user and a assassin droid body and just let it go fight. Like, I
No,
like
I agree with you, but I think their execution was equally good.
right.
And I love the ending with Moff Gideon just like going into the fire, and then
Right.
he's just like force bubbling, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, they knocked it out of the park this season. I know not everybody thought that, and a lot of people, like I said, thought it was
That's a
clunky. Some
shame.
people, like
I mean,
as you mentioned,
I
thought
could
that it
see.
was they had issues with Bo-Katan. Yeah, I think it is a shame. There's a great show here. This is Star Wars, in my opinion, at its
So
finest,
here's the thing:
and I am
Bo-Katan
totally on board for more.
Bo-Katan came out before people were upset about wokeness. So to explore her character further and how she's going to impact Mandalore, because the future is no longer about the Jedi. The future of Star Wars is in the hands of the Mandalorians. The Jedi have had their
Yeah,
tail.
but I mean, let's have the Jedi do their thing too. Let's have like different factions. We've
Yeah.
learned about the Mandalorians.
Mm,
Like, who's someone else out there?
right. I
You
mean, we get the
know,
Ahsoka show, and then we're going to get into Grand Admiral Thrawn, which is a character I'm really excited to see, because Thrawn is just an awesome character. He's like the Khan of
no,
Star
I
Wars.
know. I'm just saying, like, they like. I mean, I like learning about these cultures. Let's have another culture be the forefront in another Star Wars show. Maybe
Right.
one that we're not even really familiar with. You know what I
Right.
mean? Like, I would be really interested in something like
It
that.
is a very big galaxy. It's a very big
It's
universe.
it's
So
a galaxy, yeah.
right.
And I think what I don't know if I agree with you, and I think the future shouldn't have it should be Mandalorians. I think the future should be Mandalorians, Jedi, something else, something else, something else. Let's grow the universe.
Yeah.
Like I guess Andor is a good example. That show wasn't about either
Right.
groups. And I was interested in it. But I would be interested in learning another one. I think Wookiees might be difficult because they don't speak English. But there's some. I think it's a rife universe. Let's dip into some other toes.
Right.
But I am excited for more. Like I do think it's going to be cool. Like because I think we had this overarching story.
Mm.
Now let's return to a more episodic thing, like in the
Yeah.
beginning,
Right.
where he's teaching Grogu how to be a bounty hunter,
Mm.
but against remnants of the Empire. I think that sounds dope as
That's
hell.
awesome. I watched this shit out of that.
So yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with season 4. I hope it returns to more of that. Like have maybe if they do another 8 episode run, maybe have it like every 2 episodes. Tells a story.
Yeah, like X-Files did that. I think X-Files
Yeah,
was a great representation of a show that had good episodes when it was filler, but they spread out the canonical episodes, if you will.
well, no, and you can leave this growing tale because it seems like what they've been doing is trying to explain Palpatine in episode
Yeah.
whatever it was, the last one,
Yeah.
and why he's back, and this cloning technology, and
Right.
how it affects things, and how the Empire is coming back.
Mm.
And so I'm fine with them filling in these plot
Plot holes.
these yeah, not plot holes, but I'm
Just
fine with them. Yeah,
laziness. Lazy writing.
explaining things and because
Right.
it actually makes me hate that movie less.
Yeah.
I
You know
hate's
what?
a strong word,
No, you know
but
what? I'll use it because I think that's a good way to sort of sum up my feelings on it. Mandalorian is finding a way to explain the sequels that went into the Star Wars universe without a plan, without a Kevin Feige to kind of point the direction of where the story wants to go. So they're filling in the holes of Palpatine, and somehow he returned. So, um, I can divorce myself from that now. I've learned how to detach myself from that. I like this of Star Wars. Shut up and take my money. 8,000,000%. This was great. I love the ending. The ending was perfect. They had their epic fight. It wasn't a backdoor to anything else, really. It was just a solid ending to a solid season 3. Shut up and take my money. 8,000,000%.
Yeah, I agree.
Um,
So yeah, shut up and take my money. What did you guys think? Did you like it? Did you dislike it?
and
All
God,
opinions are welcome.
disappoints me that people are just
Yeah, it's always and this is what I get back to. It's more fun to be like to really enjoy something with someone than it is when you really enjoy something and someone's like, I didn't like it. You know what I mean? Because then you don't have that moment of being like, oh my god, and then this and this and I think that's what we do on the show a lot. And yeah, so that's more fun.
So I love Bo-Katan when she does the thing where she slides on a platform and then she'll fall and then she'll catch herself with her jetpack. Like super cool. She's done it a few times where they'll run, they'll slide, and then they'll go because there's no handle rails, there's no safety rails or anything in Star Wars. So
yeah, I know they didn't invent the railing in
right?
that universe.
But just,
I've often thought that like.
But how she utilizes her jetpack and how she incorporates that in her fighting style is fucking cool. It was cool.
Star Wars and their railing though. I just
whatever.
Everything is along a precarious path.
It is. But you know what? This whole finale reminded me of the final level of like a video game where everybody you encounter has the same armor as you, so and you can hear it with every blow that's dealt. It's just that tink, that hard, just metal Beskar on Beskar. So how do you fight that? Well, the Mandalorians are smarter fighters, are more tactical. So you got to see all the gadgets, Oh my goodness, we got to see a knee rocket at one point from I think.
Well, the thing that the way they prevailed was the point of the story, which is they're stronger together.
Right.
Once they reformed and they let aside their differences and saw what made them the same, which is like that's a good theme for this entire episode.
Right, that's it.
Is and not just this episode, but I mean our show in general, because we started talking about it.
Right.
Is that let go of your hate and see what makes you the same. Right. Just because this nerd is like, I love this, and you're like, I don't love it, but I love this. We're all nerds talking about Superman, Batman, The Mandalorian, Star Wars, all. You know what I mean? Let's just come together and be awesome together. We are stronger when we're together.
Yes, except if you like The Fifth Element, because fuck that movie. It's the worst fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. I hate that movie.
I like The Fifth Element.
Oh, God, I hate that movie. I hate that movie.
I don't. I like it.
I detest that movie.
Anyway, we're coming up. We should probably wrap it. Yeah.
So
we're sorry we keep pushing him out of the pitches, but it's hard to fit everything in. But with no Mandalorian next week, that should free up some time.
Yeah.
So
we are the pitch nerds. So
yeah,
what we should do is because I'm almost ready to do my Superman pitch, to be quite honest. I'm more prepared.
I'm not. I've put in all my effort into this. So I need time.
Okay, so we will get back to pitching.
But yeah, we could, since we're not doing a show for a couple of weeks, we could try and do more pitches and do something like that. But yeah, I'm down with that. I can put more time into my Superman. Probably get it done in a couple of weeks.
I feel like doing some pitches again.
Anyways, yeah, me too. I enjoy them.
Thanks for watching. I will get things sorted out on our Facebook probably the moment we go off air. I will throw up a post on our new Facebook page and Mr. Frosty on Twitter, so you can cast your vote as to who you think won between He-Man versus Naruto.
Yeah, and I'll also once Cap's got that sorted out, I'll update Twitter and Twitch with the true Facebook links and things like that. So we will get our Facebook sorted out. That way, you guys can either Google it or find it. And then, but it sounds like you guys are gravitating towards YouTube. So YouTube is our official home at the moment.
Yes.
Thank you, YouTube.
Yes.
So we'll try and I'm putting some work into our YouTube page too, so that we can kind of have links and things like that there.
Yeah, we did have more viewers on our YouTube today. That seems to be the number one platform.
It crushes every time. Although, thank you those of you that viewed us in Twitch last week. I got a nice little surprise that you guys have been watching Twitch.
Yeah, we had a couple people tune in from our Facebook feed also, so that's all good. Thumbs up everywhere. We do like to end the show with a nerdy quote thing by Mr. Frosty. Mr. Frosty.
All right. The moment people come to know love they run the risk of carrying hate.
Oh, deep.